you to where He wants you to be. Joseph went from the pit to the prison, all the way to the palace. You may kind of feel like you're in a pit tonight. Had some bad breaks, dealing with the sickness, lost a loved one, a dream died. Like Joseph, that pit is not the end of your story. The prison is not your final chapter. Your story ends in the palace. You are destined to live a victorious life. David said, God lifted me out of the pit and put a new song in my heart. You may be in the pit, but you need to get ready. You're about to come out. That sickness is not the end. That depression is not the end. That person that left you, the one that broke your heart, is not the end of your story. If they left you, you didn't need them. If they walked away, they were not a part of your destiny. God has somebody better. Now don't get comfortable in the pit. Don't let self-pity and discouragement steal your passion. You've got to get your fire back. Everything God promised you, He still has every intention of bringing it to pass. The palace is in your future. Dreams coming to pass are in your future. Victory, restoration, health, and wholeness. That's what's up in front of you. That's how your story ends. I talked to a gentleman who was very upset because his boss was against him, always trying to make him look bad. This boss was jealous of him, would never give him any credit or recognition. I told him what I'm telling you, it's just fertilizer. It may stink right now, but don't worry, fertilizer stinks. That just means you're about to see new growth. He got his passion back, started going to the office, being his best, being productive, working under God and not under man. Several occasions he should have been promoted, but because of his unfair boss, he got passed over. One day, the CEO of the whole company was in town from out of state. This man had to make a presentation. The CEO was very impressed with his work. About a year later, a position became available that should have gone to this unfair boss, but the CEO bypassed that boss and went directly to this man and offered him the position. Now, instead of having to work for the unfair boss, the tables have turned. The boss is working for him. You stay in faith, one touch of God's favor, you'll go from the back to the front. From the employee to the employer, from the pit to the palace. We all have stinky situations, things that are unfair. People are not treating us right. You have to see it like Joseph as fertilizer. They're not going to stop you, that's going to promote you. That person that lied about you, trying to make you look bad, don't get upset. They just put fertilizer on you. They think they're pushing you down, really they're pushing you up. You're one step closer to your palace. Or that mistake you made. You feel like you blew it, you're all washed up. Joel, I had my chance. No, God uses the stinky stuff. You can't blossom into all you were created to be without some fertilizer. Sometimes we bring trouble on ourselves. We make poor choices. The accuser constantly whispers in our ear, God's not going to bless you. You had your chance, you blew it. No, God doesn't waste anything that you go through. It may not have been good, but God knows how to bring good out of it. John chapter 4. Jesus met this woman at a well. He told her that He would give her living water. She said, please give it to me. He said, go call your husband. She said, I don't have a husband. Jesus said, you're right. You've had 5, and the man you're living with now is not your husband. She was amazed at how this man that she just met knew everything about her. She got kind of spiritual and said, I know one day the Messiah will come. Jesus looked at her and said, I am the Messiah. The first person Jesus ever told He was the Messiah was this woman. A woman that had had a rough past, made mistakes, that had some stinky stuff. She went back and told the whole town, come see this man, he must be the Messiah. God used her as the first evangelist to get the word out. And here's my point. This woman was comfortable around men, married 5 times. If she would have been intimidated, insecure, quiet, reserved, she wouldn't have told many people. But God took what the enemy had used against her her boldness, her straightforwardness, not only turned it around, but God said in effect, this has gotten you into trouble in the past. I'm going to make the enemy pay. I'm going to use this to advance my kingdom. It had worked against her. Now it was working for her. Friends, God knows how to use what you've been through. He doesn't waste any experiences. You may have made poor choices, but God can take your mess and turn it into your message. I have a friend that grew up for many years in an outlaw motorcycle gang. He was always on drugs, breaking the law, in and out of prison, living a very violent life. Didn't look like he'd ever get on the right course. But this young man had a praying mother at home. Every day she would say, Lord, you said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Thank you for turning my son around. One Sunday morning, this young man was so depressed and so high on drugs, he decided to end his life. Just before he took this whole bottle of pills, for some reason he turned on the television and saw my father ministering. He got on his motorcycle, still high as a kite, and drove to Lakewood. He walked into service as mean as can be, rough, tattooed, the beard. The ushers took him all the way down to the front and sat him on the second row. That day, he felt a love that he had never felt. He left the service, went out to the parking lot. Nobody asked him to do it. He got down on his knees beside his motorcycle and said, God, if you're real, help me to change. I'm giving my life to you. Today, this man is a pastor of a church. He has a major motorcycle ministry. He goes back to the outlaw gang members and shares his story of how God changed his life. God doesn't waste any experiences. He can use what you've been through to help others that are going through the same situation. Last year, there was a story on the news about a 19-year-old student. He walked into a high school with an assault rifle and started shooting. He didn't hit any people, only windows. After everyone scattered, he barricaded himself in this small room. There was a woman hiding behind the counter, the high school accountant, a middle-aged woman named Miss Tuff. At one point, she stood up. Their eyes met. He drew the rifle. She began to talk to him. She's very kind, calm as can be. You could tell she won him over. He was comfortable and began to open up. He told how he was off of his medicine. He felt hopeless, like he had no purpose in life. Miss Tuff said, I know how you feel. My husband of 33 years left me, and last year I tried to commit suicide, but by the grace of God, it didn't happen. She went on to tell how God had given her a new beginning. Now she was restored and started a new business, excited about her life. She looked him in the eyes and said, if God did it for me, He could do it for you. Standing there with the assault rifle, helicopters overhead, SWAT teams surrounding the building, the young man put the rifle down, walked out peacefully. Nobody was harmed. Miss Tuff said afterwards, I know God put me there because I've been through what He's going through. Nothing is wasted. The good, the bad, the painful, God knows how to use it. If you will stay in faith, it will not only act like fertilizer and make you stronger, but somewhere down the road, you will be instrumental in helping somebody else. One time in the scripture, David was on the run. King Saul was jealous of him and trying to kill him. He left in such a hurry, he forgot to get his sword. He got to the next town and told the leaders that he was on assignment from the king. It was so urgent that he didn't have time to get his weapon. He asked if they had a sword or a spear that they could borrow. They said, all we have is the sword of Goliath, whom you defeated in the valley. David's face lit up. He thought, there's no sword like that sword. Let me have it. I'll take that. He left that day with the sword that was meant to defeat him. Now he's using the same sword to defeat others. The enemies that have tried to defeat you, the sickness, the depression, the bad break, the injustice, you're not only going to defeat them, but you're going to use those same experiences to defeat others. You have some swords in your future. Battles you've won, enemies you defeated, challenges you've outlasted. Those victories are going to be there but when you need them. They were meant to defeat you, to harm you, to keep you from your destiny. God knows how to not only turn it around, not only give you the victory, but he'll put that same sword in your future that will help you overcome other obstacles. I saw a report on the news about a small city in South America that was built on a garbage dump. Everywhere you looked, there was trash. Trash in the streets, in the rivers, in the yards. All you could see was waste. Very poor people lived there, barely any electricity or running water. They made their living by searching through the trash, trying to find something that they could sell. Hours and hours a day, they rummaged through it, hoping to make a few cents. Didn't look like anything good could come out of a garbage dump. But a gentleman showed up by the name of Fabio Chavez. Saw the children playing in the garbage and it broke his heart. He wanted to help. He decided to start a music school right there in the trash heap. He didn't have money for new instruments, so he found a carpenter friend that lived in the same city. They started going through the trash looking for materials they could use to make instruments. An old piece of pipe would become part of a saxophone. Discarded wooden boxes, parts of guitars. Different sized buckets and barrels would become drums. In a few months, he had violins, cellos, guitars, drums, all made from trash. He taught the children how to play. They were so excited. Now they have a full orchestra made up of dozens and dozens of children playing these instruments made from the garbage dump. They put a clip on YouTube and it went viral. They started getting invitations from around the world. Today they play in concert halls everywhere they go before tens of thousands. People were not only so moved by their story that they started donating new instruments, but they started sending in funds to help the children improve their lives. They talked to a noted musician at the end of the story, and she made a statement that stuck with me. She said, "I couldn't believe you could make music out of trash." That's the way our God is. He can take the broken dreams, the mistakes, the injustice. Doesn't look like any good can come out of it. Looks like this is waste. No, God knows how to make music out of your mess. He's got you in the palm of his hand. Nothing that's happened to you has been wasted. It's all been a part of making you into who you were created to be. It may not have been good, but God knows how to use it for your good. He can take the very thing that was meant to defeat you and instead cause it to propel you. No obstacle is too big. No enemy is too powerful. The forces that are for you are greater than the forces that are against you. Like David, you may be in a tough time, but you're about to see one of your swords. People can't stop it. Bad breaks can't stop it. Trash can't stop it. Injustice can't stop it. Like Joseph, you're about to rise to the top. You may be in the pit, and get ready. You're going to come into that palace. Shake off the disappointments. Shake off the self-pity. This is a new day. Your best days are not your yesterdays. They are still out in front of you. The enemy would not be fighting you so hard unless he knew there was something amazing in your future. It may be difficult. It may smell bad right now, but remember, it's fertilizer. It's working to your advantage. You're getting stronger. You're growing. I believe and declare you're going to flourish. You're going to bloom. You're going to blossom. I speak victory over you. I speak abundance over you. I speak restoration, vindication, health, wholeness, increase, the fullness of your destiny in Jesus' name. If you receive it, can you say amen tonight?
Joel and Victoria would like to send you a copy of Joel's new series, Radical Results, as a thank you for your support of our ministry.
You weren't made to live an average life with small dreams, little influence. God created you to live a life of abundance, radically blessed. No matter what the circumstances look like, don't settle for average. God has an extraordinary future for you.
In this new series, you'll be reminded that God has wonderful things in store for you. You weren't created to live a small life with little goals, little dreams, or little influence. God created you to live an abundant life. You can experience radical blessings in your life today.
When you honor God, He'll bless you.